I've never heard that, but that's the origin of CAP. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look.
There's a principle that
Right.
we have to follow.
Yeah.
We have to have.
Be true to yourself. You don't have
And when I came back, the place was a mess. So I knew I was missed.
Deep in here now. Now
It's
deep.
incredible. I love it.
Me
That's
too.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And applying the recovery, I thought. What's up, everybody out there in the ether? It's your favorite recovery Martian, Travis, back again from Recovery Central, the McShin Foundation. We're here doing another Miracle Monday today. I'm very excited about this one. We got like the alumni of all alumni. I mean, she's deep in the game. She's been around a while. And I want to give a shout out to all our sponsors and all our judicially involved individuals right now behind bars, trying to bring you a little hope shot, playing out a miracle right in front of your eyes. And I just want to introduce our Miracle Monday of today and tell us your name and a little bit about yourself, what you do, what's going on.
Well, my name's Erin, and I am a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder. Haven't found it necessary to use any kind of substance since November 10th, 2014. And I started my journey right here at McShin.
You started at McShin.
I started at McShin.
What initially brought you to McShin? Like, what was the action that had to be taken to come to McShin? What was the details? Give us all the stuff.
Well, I forgot to mention this when we spoke the other day. Excuse me. But actually, like, my using had gotten way out of control. It's particularly offensive when your dealer looks at you and says, I can't deal with you anymore. My brother went to this place down the street. Maybe you should look into it.
Yeah, wow.
And, that wasn't the time that it took, as, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I just skipped on down to the next one and kept it moving. But, I was abusing family's credit cards. I was writing checks that didn't belong to me and obscene amounts of money. So it wasn't long before I knew eventually I was going to get caught, and I did. First time I got caught using my grandmother's credit card, not proud of it, but it's my truth. She was deceased. Yeah. And that's a big no-no.
Still good. Still active.
Still, yeah.
The credit card was.
It was still active and it had my name on it. So I was like, it's not a problem, right? It's fine.
Yeah, it seems like a gray area,
it's fine. It is. Yeah, whatever. I'll deal with it when it comes down the pike.
Yeah.
And so that was my first time detoxing. And I actually came up I did some research and found some different places. And at the time, right across the hall over here, there was a doctor who did I think it was a 5-day or maybe an 8-day opiate detox. And when I came up, I had to come up through the front of the church. So I had to come right through the McShin participants in order to get up here. And, they're like, hey, who are you? How are you? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, just going upstairs and, blah, 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 blah. So first attempt, 3 days in, back off to the races. That's when the check writing started. And, again, about a year later, busted. But at this point, it was getting to the point where, like, my whole family, I was married at the time. My mom, who I was writing the checks against, was like, look, you got to get it together. So I was like, well, let me go back to that place one more time and I'll see what's up. So came on back and same thing, maybe made it 4 or 5 days this time. Left and continued to write checks. And finally, my mom was like, all right, I'm taking the kids and here's the deal. Like, you can either get your act together or I'm going to turn you in. And I mean, I'm looking at 2 checks a day, every day for like a year.
Yeah, that forgery and uttering.
Yeah, that's like Fed time. And I was like,
I had a few of those myself.
Yeah,
like, it's just so easy. I just write on this and you give me money.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. So I came back up and I was like, obviously this isn't working with me doing it at home. So I reached out to some people that I knew here and was like, can you get me in housing?
Yeah, it is something, all the ways we come up with before, like, we initially actually like seek treatment or something, we always have this idea, like for me, it used to be like, I can do this in one weekend, you know?
Oh yeah.
I'll start taking like methadone or something on
Oh, yeah.
Friday, and by Monday I'll
It's
be
fine.
ready for work again.
It's fine. It's not me.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that
I'm
could
not the
play out for
problem.
a long time too,
Yeah.
couldn't it?
Yeah.
Every weekend, let's try it again.
Yeah.
It'll work this time. So that was that is something though. You go up to your drug dealer or whatever. He's like, hey, look, your money's no good here.
Yeah.
You're going to need some help.
Yeah. It was shocking to say the least. I was like, what the, like, how does that even happen? So, but yeah, that was kind of that's how I ended up.
Yeah. So the trigger, like for you to open your eyes a little bit was like, your mom was like, look, if you don't do something, I'm going to press charges on you
You're going to jail. I'm taking the kids, and and that's going to be it. Like, you're going to do it one way or the other. Which way do you want to do it?
Yeah.
So.
And you chose to, so you chose to, all right, I'll do it your way, Mom.
Yeah.
And so, and then you said, what did you say? Your brother had told you about McShin. Was this your first option? Was there other options to go to? Because this has been some time ago now. Like what?
Yeah.
Well, how'd you hear about McShin and what brought you?
So it wasn't my brother, it was my dealer's brother that had come through here. So that's how I knew about it. But yeah, I mean, I went to my primary care doctor and got honest, and I was like, look, here's what's going on. I need some help. What are my options?
Yeah.
Coleman Institute was a big thing at the time, and they did the rapid detox.
I remember that, Dr. Coleman.
Yeah,
that's where I went.
Yeah, Dr. Coleman. I remember that because there was only two doctors back then. It was Dr. Bright for that, or Dr. Coleman for the rapid detox. Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Dr. Thompson who's now at MCAM. That's his is it MCAM now? Master's. Yeah. So he's MCAM. He was the one who was here. It was just him, just small practice. But yeah, I mean, I looked at Coleman and I was like, all right, honestly, really, it came down to finances. I was like, because Coleman sounded great.
Yeah.
But it was like, am I going to do like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 over here, or should I try this, at home outpatient kind of taper plan for significantly less? And my thought was, well, if this doesn't work, Coleman is always there.
Yeah.
So,
this is very interesting because let me go back just a little bit, because your drug dealer was kind of like a one-stop drop. I mean, you could get your drugs and some recovery there. I mean, he was like a little resource center.
Yeah. Yeah. He had no intention of utilizing anything, but he wanted me to. That was the most baffling thing ever. I think I probably just I didn't even know how to respond to that. I was just like, what? All
the stars were aligning for you. So
can we do one more time, or do I what's the deal here?
What's the process here?
Yeah.
So you're out there. So your mom kind of gives you an ultimatum. You got your kids involved, and you could be potentially looking at some charges. So you decide to take the step, and you come into McShin. So this is always an interesting point for me, because it's always somebody coming in, and there's always this and that. Initially coming in, what was your thoughts? I know you're probably nervous, you're probably detoxing, but were you ready and willing? How'd that look for you when you were coming in?
Well, I was, so first I was in precipitated withdrawal because, I got
the worst thing in the world.
The worst thing in the world.
Sucks so bad. Anytime I see somebody, I'm just like, oh my God, you poor angel, please God. But I was in precipitated withdrawal when I got here, because unbeknownst to me, because I like to drink and use and drink. It's never. Yeah,
they're kind of like kissing cousins. Yeah,
because it'll make it better.
Yeah,
always. It'll heighten everything. So I literally drunk myself into diabetes, and I had neuropathy in my legs, and I mistook that for restless leg, and I was at hour 23. So I was like, surely it's fine. Popped, my medication, and 5 minutes later, immediately regretted it. So I was sick when I got here. My mom had driven me the night before. I had packed a bag for myself and my kids, and in precipitated withdrawal, I literally would make it off the couch to put one shirt in a bag for me, go back to the couch, make it up, one shirt in a bag for a kid, come back, and I'm just sitting on the couch, looking at this guy who's doing my intake, and I'm mad as hell at my mom. because it's all her fault, obviously.
Yeah, of course it is.
I mean, so willing, I was willing to do what I needed to do to stay out of jail.
Yeah. Well, that's a start.
No, and I honestly thought coming in here and into recovery, I would say as a whole, the illicit drugs had to go.
Yeah.
But if I could get it at the corner store, or if it was a prescription, even if it wasn't mine, as long as I took it as it would be prescribed to somebody else, everything was fine.
Yeah.
Imagine my surprise when, so I walk in here and, I did the intensive program. And, numbers started flying around, and, my mom asks, can you give us a couple of days I have to call and get the money from her account. My grandparents, had left us a little something.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it was coming out of my pocket, I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was
starts looking a little different then.
And then I start looking around and I'm like, huh? I'm like, but I'm in the basement of a church.
Yeah.
And no, and so, but basically the guy that I was looking at was like, shut up.
Yeah.
And, I was like, okay.
So obviously, since the time that you came in, which has been some years ago now, and you probably see some differences in what McShin looks like, because the basement of the church. And
well, and it was, and the church was not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just different.
It was just a reason for me to try and wiggle out of,
Yeah. Any excuse will do.
Yeah. There was no reason why, because it wasn't about the accommodations. It was about the services that I was getting.
Right.
So, but I didn't know that. I'm in precipitated withdrawal, sitting on a couch looking at some bald dude with a weird picture behind his head going, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Best $8,800 I ever spent.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What were some of the things that, like, you start learning some new things, some recovery. What were some of the things that you learned, like at McShin, like maybe pathway wise, or like what were you introduced to?
Well, so they introduced me. I'm abstinence based. My pathway of recovery. I'm a 12-stepper. Narcotics Anonymous is my thing. And I knew about like the other program.
Yeah.
But I didn't know too much about NA, and that's really kind of where I found my people. But interestingly enough, like the women that I met when I lived here at McShin, we all kind of like followed each other around for a while. One in particular, and at first, I did not like her.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she liked me or not. That we've never really had that conversation. But we ended up renting our first house together.
Nice.
Lived together for 5 years.
Yeah.
My kids refer to her as their, sister, aunt, fill in the blank. So like the relationships that I got out of being here, not only in my pathway, but with the people that I started my recovery journey with, like, are irreplaceable.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome. I know it is weird. Like, you do kind of find a new family in the recovery community. It's one of the things that's like so attractive about it. So just like going back a little bit, so like you come in, you're precipitated detox, you're like hating the world. Then there's like going to be some costs associated with you coming. It looks like it's going to have to come out of your pocket, which is never a nice thing. I hate coming out of my pocket unless it's for something that I want.
Because this is not my fault.
Yeah. And you're kind of, you were kind of set with an ultimatum too. It's this or that. So this is like the lesser of the two evils in your eye. Not knowing what the future is going to hold. So after you get through like that initial process and you're like, all right, I'm here. Like, how long did it click before you were like, all right, I'm staying in the game here?
Not too long. I mean, I want to say maybe about a week and a half in, once like the fog kind of lifted just a little bit for me to even realize where the hell I was.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, I would go down. We used to have family dinner on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I would go down to family dinner and have no idea how to get to the big room. I literally sat in the big room 7 hours a day, every day, and I could not tell you how to get from one place to the other.
And just for the viewers, just like literally, it's just one long straight hallway.
Yeah. And it was a big yellow room at the time. Like, you couldn't miss it. And I had no clue where it was. So, once I kind of started coming to a little bit, the deal was here, your phone got taken when you first got here and you had to have a sponsor in order to get it back. And I was like, well, I want my phone back, so I'm going to get a sponsor.
Oh, that's different.
I like that.
That's different.
I think we should re-employ that.
That's a good
lights
one.
a little fire under you
That's
to get
a good one.
sponsorship.
Yeah. But I picked the wrong sponsor because she was like, well, yes, I will take you on and you will call me once a day for 30 days. And we will start to, so, and I say that jokingly, her name is Brenda Perkins. She passed away 2 years ago, but, literally, not a better person has ever walked this earth than Brenda. But that's kind of where it came from. I found people both here in McShin and people in the fellowship that just held me up, supported me, and they really taught me. Yeah. Number one, you're here because of your own. Yeah. Nobody forced you to be here. No, you made this mess. Yeah. You got to clean it up. Yeah. You started hearing some truth. Yeah. You had to take a look at it. Yeah. And so within about 30 days, it was the end of the intensive program and I had a decision to make, stay or go. And I was married at the time, chose to move back home. We had closed down my house at the time and moved into a 400 square foot apartment. And my husband at the time was mad. Yeah. He was not happy with me. Rightfully so. Yeah. Right. And, it just didn't work out. But I told McShin when I left that I was going to come back every day. Yeah. And go to groups. And what'd you do? I'm going to come back and do the day program. And everybody goes, okay. Yeah. We hear this a lot. A lot. I am one of the few that actually did it. Get out of here. I absolutely did. I am a unicorn. That's a miracle. Narwhal. Narwhal is my spirit animal. So I'm the narwhal. Okay. Yeah. But I showed up and I volunteered. And, McShin has always really been my home. Another friend of mine and I, we call it home base. Yeah. You can see the steeple. Yeah. Pretty much anywhere. So whenever the proverbial, is hitting the fan, it's head for the church. Yeah. It's the center of the bubble. Yeah. That's why I say Recovery Central. Just get there, Yeah. So, I found a safe place here, no matter who's here. Because it doesn't just have to be the people that I was here with, hanging out with you. I'm sure if my, what was on fire and I came in and I was like, I need to talk to somebody. I need it just breeds that kind of, it's just that kind of place, man. Yeah. I agree with you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's kind of hard to explain unless you've experienced. It's just a safe environment where people care. And that's the thing is, when, not to say that those people aren't in the quote unquote real world too. Right. No, it's just, but you get a different look when you're like, I want to shoot. The understanding. The experience and understanding isn't there. You kind of get I'm not sure how to respond to this look. But here in McShin and also, of course, in 12-step, it's just like-minded people trying to do the same thing. Yeah. So, yeah. And so you leave and you come back and eventually you come back and you probably lived in one of the houses or something, a sober living house. So I had the option to, but then one of my sponsee sisters had, she and her husband had opened a home of their own. So I actually moved in there and ran that house. It was called the Antoinette House. Like Mary Antoinette? I wonder how that name got popped up. Like most of the others, it was a street that it was on. Oh, really? Yeah, I know. Okay, now it's all starting to come together. Because I feel like I heard eventually you came back and you ran the women's program here, didn't you? I did, yeah. While I was here, there was this guy that worked downstairs, and everybody was I won't say old. I'll say mature. Yeah, mature. Advanced in their aging process. Yeah, like a fine kind of wine. Yeah. And the typing went like this. Nice. Was it the typewriters or was this computer age? If they'd had it available, that's what it would have been. Nice. But it was actually using and it used to drive me crazy. Yeah, candlelight. Letters. Yeah. So there was this one guy that was doing a grant, and I was like, please, for the love of God, will you just let me type it? I won't even pay attention to what I'm typing. But I can knock this out for you in 5 minutes. And I started volunteering and doing stuff like that. And eventually, John needed an assistant. And so they asked me if I wanted to do it. Yeah. And I did. And that was fun. Yeah. So, yeah. John is an interesting character to work for.
Always.
Yeah. And
That is true.
That's
One
true.
That's
yeah,
true.
I tell you what, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for John, Carol, Honesty, Brenda. But so I love them dearly. And John was just opening a program at Pamunkey Regional.
Yeah. Shout out to Monkey.
Yeah, and he took me into LPOD, which was the men's program at the time,
Yeah.
and had me share my story. And next thing you know, I walk out, and now I'm doing jail programs
I
with
love
another
that.
friend of mine.
Yeah.
So my job was to go in twice a day, every day, and just take recovery into Pamunkey. Eventually,
That's
a
right.
women's program opened up, so I would kind of shuttle back and forth and split my time between the men and the women, and just go in and talk recovery.
That's that's one of my favorite parts of service
Mhm.
work. Taking
Mhm.
that message inside to the jails.
Yeah.
And we actually we have the McShin pod at
Yep.
Pamunkey Jail now too. Also, like an official McShin pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Is it still LPOD? Do you know?
Yeah, still
Shout out
LPOD.
LPOD.
Yeah, shout out to LPOD. They might see this.
They
They
might.
will.
Hey,
It's on their tablets. Yeah. So you just kind of fell into that, going
Yeah.
into the jails and stuff like that. Did you you ran the women's program here? It probably looked different
I
back
did.
then. I mean, do you see like differences now from then? It's probably
Oh my
and like
gosh.
what are they kind of?
Well, I will admit I have been more removed than I should be from like the recovery housing. I work in a different aspect now.
Yeah.
But eventually I worked my way up to women's programs. And I mean, back then, like if a guy looked at a blade of grass
Yeah.
at a women's house,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was on you like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were having words.
Yeah, because we know what kind of problems that can create, don't we? Those blades of grass. You
Those
know,
blades of grass,
Yeah.
man.
that
Blades
grass will
of
get you every time. dog.
Yeah. And so now, like I hear, and I'm recovery, like everything else, is always evolving, and I understand, everybody kind of has to keep up with the times.
Yeah.
But like guys are allowed to go in the girls' house, and girls are allowed to go in the guys' house. Is that true?
I mean, it's like,
Like in the
there's like a visitation type, like maybe the living room in a certain
I would
amount
die.
of time. Yeah.
So
And we do have
other
cameras
people-
in there now. So
They're
shit.
separated by
Oh, okay.
glass.
And they're separated by glass. Yeah,
Perfect.
COVID changed everything, and they have to
well,
wear a mask and
yeah,
pretty
well,
much handcuffs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
no handcuffs.
No
Okay, now we got weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, stuff like that. There were just, and what I've always liked about McShin is the structure of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was expected to, particularly obviously in the intensive program, but even outside, you were supposed to, or at the time, kind of the other pathways were not as prevalent as they are now.
Right.
So like it was pretty much 12 step.
Yeah.
Any kind of 12 step you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And but it was expected that you were going to be a part of something.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't just stay in house and go to work, or
Right.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
That's what, and that's I love that too, because you did like that's probably what was so helpful too, because of that expectation, but also like you jumped right in to
Mhm.
Narcotics Anonymous, like
Mhm.
there was no delay.
No.
So you got to what you needed to get to pretty
Yeah.
quickly, and then you stuck with it.
Yeah.
Like pretty much you probably got how long do you have?
well, if I'm willing,
Yeah.
old HP is, but if I'm willing, November 10th, I'll have 10 years.
Dang, congratulations.
thank
the
you.
old decade. You know
I
what
know. I
mean?
can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I haven't been this excited about like a celebration since my first year.
Yeah.
I'm like, super excited about this one.
So that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it all the time. I mean, when could somebody put together one day, or like, think about it when the dealer was telling you, hey man, you need to
Yeah.
get some help over here.
Yeah.
Could you ever see it? 10
No.
years.
No, I remember watching like my housemates pick up 30 days and thinking, oh my God, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
It's-
can relate to that totally. And
Yeah.
and just having 10 years. I mean, obviously, you probably have sponsees and like,
lots.
lots of them.
Yeah, I've got 9 right now. So
How do you like that process? The
I love it.
sponsee.
I love it. I have several that I've been sponsoring since their day one.
Yeah.
You know, or I've been involved with it because it got a little muddy for a little bit working here as women's programs because we couldn't sponsor.
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
if they're in the
sometimes
program.
people would kind of wait.
Yeah.
Which I'm proud. That just makes my heart, you know.
They
It's
knew
like-
who they wanted.
Yeah. And they've been with me, and they've got like, you know, long-term sustained recovery, and then getting the newer people who, you know, it reminds me, you know, it
Yeah.
reminds me of being on that couch in precipitated withdrawal, and
Yeah.
looking around and being like, what is all of this? And how do they expect me to do all of this? And this is impossible. Like, you know, just seeing that raw, you know,
Yeah.
what is going on
Ju-
deer in the
yeah.
headlights.
Yeah, just like you,
know?
yeah, just like you couldn't see it when you were going, and
Mhm.
I mean, not knowing that the possibilities were endless,
Yeah.
and all you had to do was just hang in the game.
That's all you had to do, and just learning how to just simplify. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, not make it so damn complicated.
That's valuable.
Because it just isn't. You know?
Suggestion right
Yeah,
there.
it's not. You know, I mean, just simple, small attainable goals, one little thing at a time. You know,
Yeah.
tomorrow's going to come, and I can do tomorrow. you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
if I don't get it done today, okay. You
No
know,
biggie.
it really isn't.
Yeah.
But it sure feels like it.
Yeah.
You know, but it isn't.
Well said. I mean, I love the way you just that is how a miracle unfolds right there. I mean, you go from, you know, an ultimatum with your mom, you're writing bad checks. You know the old timers in prison used to call that paper hanging.
Paper hanging.
They
No,
were-
I've never heard
They were
that.
like we're paper hangers.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's got a
like
better ring to it than forgery and uttery, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
uttery. I'm like I'm thinking of like cows and like, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Where did that even come from?
And you went from a point in your life where the daggone, you know, the dealer had to tell you, hey, look, lady,
Yeah.
it's time to get some help.
You got a problem. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So do you. Like,
Yeah. And then you go, you take a simple suggestion. I mean, it's a suggestion, you know, an ultimatum or a suggestion. You did it. And look, I know precipitated withdrawal. I mean, it's a cross between like a bad acid trip and I want to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. It's like probably
It
the
is
worst
literally.
possible thing dealing in this area that you can go through.
Yes.
You know, but you hung in there, you sweated it out.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had some health issues associated with your drinking, some neuropathy. You obviously bounced back from that in spectacular fashion.
Well, it's treated.
Yeah, it's treated.
I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
away
yeah.
from the diabetes, but
Yeah,
it's well managed.
but it's managed,
now.
right?
So, yeah.
The-
I actually pay attention to my health these days.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I take care of myself.
Yeah, isn't that something too? Because there
Yeah.
was a time where I just not only not make an appointment.
Mhm.
I mean, to make it to an appointment, but I couldn't like pick up the phone and make the appointment.
No.
I was just like, oh, this will take care of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Or
If
what's
I
the
don't
worst
feel
that
it,
can
it's not
happen?
there. Yeah.
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 Fine. I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah, you
That's
come
fine.
in, you do that, you know, you eventually like you work here as the women's manager, and then all of a sudden a serviceable person, you're going into the jails,
Mhm.
you're taking that message of hope. So and then you have sponsees that you're giving back what was freely given to you. And in my opinion, that's a miracle. Would you agree, Steve?
I would.
I love that, man. I love that, Erin, man. That was a great story. I mean, that was a great message right there. And if you had anything to say to anybody coming in new or somebody, you know, to our judicially involved, to ILPOD, you know, and across the country
Yeah.
and all the jails and prisons that might see this right now, what would be like a little, just a message of hope for them that, you know, the uncertainty that they're facing right now,
Yeah.
just like you were facing, you know, when you first came in, what would just be something you could give to them?
I mean, the biggest thing for me really was my kids. You know, they were 7 and 8, almost 8 and 9 when I got into recovery, and I drugged them right along with me. You know, but my kids haven't had to see me use in 10 years, and your kids never have to see you use ever again. You know, you can roll out, find something like McShin or, you know, whatever resources your local area has and jump in, you know, get around the people who won't judge, who will listen and who can sympathize and empathize with what you're going through. and just take it slow, one little thing at a time. And jail's so hard because you're coming out of such a controlled environment, like out into the world where you got so many damn choices and so many ways you can go. But if you find somewhere like McShin, one of your local recovery housing communities, whatever, you get some structure back, not quite like, being in jail, but it feels like to me like almost like a little easier of a transition. And, you get the support that you need. So that would be my biggest suggestion. Like, take your recovery and roll with it. You don't have to get high.
That's a great suggestion because I don't have to, and Erin doesn't have to, and whatever frustrations or anxieties you have coming out, you don't have to either. Erin went from a paper hanger to like a top end professional in this recovery. Her job is kind of top secret when she talks about it. It's kind of like CIA material and everything like that. So we're not going to dig in too deep about it, but just know that she's very successful and she loves pumpkin spice and she's dressed in fall colors. I love the outfit, the get up. She's got the look going on.
Psyched for October.
Yeah. And
Can't wait.
I know. Doesn't like the October air or like the fall air like energetically charges you, right?
It does. And you know what I've come to appreciate now that I didn't appreciate before? When the weather changes and it gets crisp, like it's like that euphoric recall. It brings me right back to being here, and like but it's a feeling of gratitude now, as opposed to like impending doom. Oh my gosh, it feels like when I was getting high. Now it's like I don't ever have to do that again. Like, it's filled with appreciation and gratitude as, and I love it. I love this time of year. I always have, but it has a whole different meaning now. So
that's right. Switch the negative to the positive.
Harvest of gratitude.
Harvest of gratitude. And it's harvest time. Harvest moon time.
And
I love Neil Young. I love pumpkin spice.
Looks like a big pumpkin.
I love pumpkin spice. I can put it in everything. Put it on my cottage cheese. You know what I'm saying? Well, thank you for coming out, Erin. We love you. You're awesome. Welcome back anytime. This was a Miracle Monday if I've ever seen one. Everybody out there, peace. Yeah.
Okay.
How was that?
Did we do all right?
We can.